map, so we were able to keep moving forward, and then we eventually saw the Moose Creek bend to our left, allowing us to really know now exactly where we are from looking at the map. All we had to do was keep the river to our left and the ridge to our right, without climbing up too much elevation. We also knew we'd be walking along the incline thanks to the contour lines on the map, so we did exactly that. And there was no sign of anything anywhere resembling a trail, and definitely no trail markers for the last mile or so. But thankfully the Garmin gave us some peace of mind as we knew we were still roughly on the correct path as we navigated through the snow-covered woods. We just had to keep hugging the incline on our right and keep the creek on our left as we go around the base of this little peak to the right. If we didn't have the GPS to verify our location along the trail, it would have been significantly harder to figure out exactly where we were, and likely would have involved some backtracking to find the last trail marker that we saw, which at this point could have been multiple miles ago. But since we had the GPS and we could see the details from the map of the terrain, we were able to continue on the correct path to keep us in the general vicinity of where we needed to go. Then after a good half hour, we finally saw a trail marker. "I got one!" Josh yelled out as he saw blue NPT trail marker. Terrific. Crisis averted. All was well. We navigated properly using the tools that we had, from the GPS to the physical map, and then we came out to the right place by trusting the tools and trusting the map. I can't stress enough how beneficial it was to have a GPS on this trip in particular, as well as having the route of the trail plotted within the GPS for quicker reference. A lot of this trail has no cell service either, so on top of navigating purposes, it's also nice to be able to send your loved ones those "I'm okay, all is well" text messages, or "Hey, I'm stopping for the night at the Aluska Lean-To." It's just nice to be able to let people know where you are as well. And like many, as I've mentioned before, I have the Garmin InReach Explorer Plus. It's expensive, but your life is worth more than that GPS, so it's worth the purchase. And it's rock solid. Now that we were officially back on trail, we were following the still very sparse assortment of NPT trail markers, but where the trail winds and weaves was more obvious now as we traversed along the slope of the mountainside on our right, with Moose Creek down further in the valley to the west on our left. So it figures, since we left Lake Placid and there was no snow anywhere and it was pretty much spring-like, and we figured this final day would be the easiest day, figures that this would be a full-fledged winter hike. Just completely winter. It might as well be January out here as we go from Duck's Hole towards Lake Placid. Complete winter. We kept moving and eventually came out to the final lean-to of the trail at Moose Pond at 11:15. Woof. I was thrilled to be finished with that last section. It took hours to traverse through the snow and was super slow going, but we made it through successfully despite the difficult winter trail conditions here in mid-April and having to continue to find where the trail was. 11:15, we made it to the Moose Pond lean-to, and it was treacherous getting here. They could definitely use a few more trail markers back during that Beaver Dam area. Thank God I had the GPS, the Garmin. We were able to read the map and the contour lines of where we were hiking to kind of bushwhack our way over, just keep going in the right direction. And eventually we found a trail marker, but man, they need some more of those, especially in areas that are super difficult to follow. Time to take 5. We stopped for a swig and a snack, as we tend to do at each lean-to, for about 10 minutes before we carried on. Though we may have stayed here for 15 minutes because we really just needed a break, especially a mental break after that last section. It was easily some of the most challenging hiking that I've ever been a part of. We were 1.6 miles away from Wanaka Falls now, and 7.1 miles from Averyville Road in Lake Placid, a road that I grew up playing baseball on. And I'm happy to report that the trail from here on out was very easy to navigate, and the snow started to become less and less as we dropped elevation and as the day progressed. We made it to Wanaka Falls. It's partially frozen, but it's pretty cool, nice and big, kind of. We are 6.5 miles from Averyville Road, and this was the last checkpoint, so now it's just straight shot to Averyville. The trail has gotten a little better since we left the Moose Pond lean-to. Still, very winter in the woods.
A lot easier to navigate, easier trail. Hopefully that's more of the same to get to Averyville.
Wanaka Falls is a cool big waterfall ledge that you can see on the right as the trail moves along the top of a small ridge with the river down below to the right. And there's some campsites over there which might be cool, but we didn't leave the trail to go check them out since they were a little ways away from the trail. We had our eyes set on Lake Placid, so we kept moving north as we walked along the base of High Peak Street Mountain first, and then to the base of Nye Mountain. And for the remainder of the hike, the woods became more bare in terms of snow. The sun started to come out, and similar to yesterday, what started out snow and winter filled turned into nice springtime hiking immediately after lunch. Like clockwork these past 3 days. The morning is full winter conditions, and then once we stopped for lunch, everything changed at that point in terms of snow and the trail conditions. So that was great. The trail winds along the bases of Street and Nye in a huge wide open forest here in the High Peaks Wilderness. In some places you can see the slides on the backside of Nye as well up in the distance on your right. If you're hiking north, if you're going south, they'll be on your left. About a mile after Moose Pond, the snow was finally gone for good and the sun was out. It was getting warmer and the hike was turning into what we hoped it would be. Colorful, no more snow, dry, and fast moving. So now it was time to hammer out some miles to make up for the super slow morning. And then after a couple miles of hustling down the trail, we needed a change, a pick-me-up if you will. So we decided to listen to some music, and we both chose to listen to the same album on our phones, but we tried to sync up our phones by pressing play at the same time so that we were both hearing the same thing. Okay, press play in 3, 2, 1, play. Okay, no, try again. Yours is behind. 3, 2, 1, play. Dude, press play on play, not after play. Okay, do it again. This went on for a few minutes to say the least, but we decided eventually close enough. And in case you're wondering what we listened to, it was Brian Fallon's new record entitled Local Honey. And this mixed with the sunshine and the dry trail now with no snow anywhere really upped the vibe for us on this day tremendously. It was the pick-me-up that we needed after this morning. We decided that we were going to hike right until the album ends and then we'll stop for a snack. And then once it was over, we were immediately met with a log crossing the trail that was the perfect place to sit on to have a snack. So we enjoyed some water with Noon tablets and a Snickers bar. Once we got back up and moving, I decided to put on a different record and listen to some more music. An album that I've listened to since early high school days and still do consistently. Stretch Armstrong's A Revolution Transmission. And now we were hammering out the miles fast as we walked along the base of Nye Mountain and we were approaching the Chubb River. Starting around Wanaka Falls all the way to Lake Placid, the weather could not make up its mind today though. 1 minute it was sunny, blue sky, and then 15 minutes later it was dark, cloudy, windy, and snowing like crazy. And then 20 minutes later, it was sunny and beautiful again, followed by more snow flurries and clouds just minutes after that. It was never ending how much the weather was changing. It definitely could not make up its mind today. It was odd even for the Adirondacks. But the vibes were strong at this point and our spirits were high as we approached the end and soon we were on the final mile to Lake Placid. Crossing over a couple small wood bridges here and there, walking through a narrow trail with spruce trees along the sides, and then we saw the Chubb River bend to our left and we heard the sounds of the road. We were there. Finished.
3:21, we're at the Chubb River, and we are at the final trailhead register. We made it. Back to Lake Placid. Blue Mountain Lake to Lake Placid, the end of our first stretch, the first section of the Northville-Placid Trail. And it feels terrific.
Our walk from Blue Mountain Lake, which felt like years ago at this point, to Lake Placid was complete. According to the map, we walked 51.5 miles, though according to Josh's phone, tracking us via GPS, we walked 59 miles. So as I mentioned in the last episode, the trail signage, the apps, and the maps are often significantly different on this trail, so take it all with a grain of salt and think of it more as a ballpark number. But of course, when in doubt, probably just trust the map. And we're using the Nat Geo Northville-Placid Trail map, in case you're wondering. But the first section of our Northville-Placid Trail hike was officially in the books. I texted my dad, who came to pick us up, and about 10 minutes later, he arrived at the trailhead on Averyville Road. We sat in the back of his van since we didn't smell great, and, nobody needs to smell that. My father was actually the last person that we saw since we came across exactly 0 people throughout the 3 days on the trail. But the trip was complete, a big success. However, my journey here on the Northville-Placid Trail is far from over. Many more miles still to come. Another successful day in the woods as my first section of the Northville-Placid Trail was complete. From Blue Mountain Lake to Lake Placid, we traversed well over 50 miles of trail in 3 days, woke up covered in snow, hiked in frozen boots, but we made it back home to Lake Placid and all is well. Section 1 complete. Next time on 46 of 46, we'll tackle a new section of this infamous and remote trail on a day hike traversing from Moose River Recreation Area at Wakely Dam to Lake Durant, the same place that we started this hike from, where we'll have significantly different weather than we experienced on this run. But that's next time on 46 of 46. Thanks for listening, and please follow the show on Instagram and Facebook at 46 of 46 Podcast, and check back next Friday for the next episode of the Northville-Placid Trail series. Remember to always leave no trace, do the rock walk, and if you carry it in, carry it out. Everything, every time, banana peels and all. See you on the trails. Well, day 3.5 here on the Northville-Placid Trail. Josh and I are currently walking down Averyville Road here in Lake Placid towards the railroad station. Since the NPT technically ends at the train station, not the Averyville trailhead. So we're just getting a nice afternoon stroll in here. We'll be hiking a big 1.8 miles on the day. So we got a big day ahead. I slept at the Liberty Hill Lean-To last night, aka my house. It was lovely. It's 3:45 p.m., so a bit of a later start here on day 3.5, but we can't leave any miles unwalked here on the Northville-Placid Trail, so to the train station we go. I was going to bring my dog on this lovely walk, but he's old. I don't think he would have made it. Pure ADK is an online community and lifestyle brand that creates Adirondack-inspired apparel and goods. They're all about sharing their adventures and creating quality products that are a reflection of the outdoor lifestyle and activities we love in the Adirondack Mountains. Whether born and raised an Adirondack native or a frequent vacationer, we all have a common bond, those feelings and memories that the Adirondacks evoke in us. As a bonus for listeners of the podcast, they're providing a 15% off discount. When shopping in their online store, use the promo code 46podcast to redeem the offer. PureAdirondacks.com. Check it out. 46podcast. Pure ADK. Exploration unbound.